our Executive Director of Institutional Advancement, Mr. Foreman. Mr. Foreman, would you like to explain to us how your relationship with the prep came to be and has evolved over the last couple of years?
Well, it's actually been a long time, Matt. Started in the early '80s. I was at a basketball camp and met a couple of guys that went to a high school called St. Augustine that I had never really heard of. They had just won a state championship. So the media coverage of St. Augustine Prep was nowhere near what it is today. Make a long story short, I wound up making a decision to come to the prep. I absolutely loved the school spirit. I loved the idea of playing basketball for Coach Rodeo, and decided to come here. I had two brothers that went here right after me, and graduated in 1987. Coached with Coach Rodeo for a couple of years in the early '90s, believe it or not, and then fell in love, decided to have a family, and had to go make money. So I was in the hospitality business for about almost 15 years. Stayed connected with the prep, usually through athletics, but in some of the events. And in 2005, my wife was fortunate enough to get a position at Oakcrest High School, and she said, "You need to go do what you love to do." And I had always been coaching a little bit, and it was my passion to be in education. And I came up to St. Augustine and started substituting. 2 weeks later, became a full-time senior religion teacher. The next year I was the phys ed teacher in charge of the Spirit Club. We started things like the Hermit Fest, the Richland Rowdies, and became the disciplinarian, assistant athletic director, the director of athletics and activities, and now I am the executive director of institutional advancement, and hopefully we have a chance to learn what that is today.
So, Mr. Foreman, you're involved with institutional advancement, and that sounds like a very fancy title. Could you maybe explain to us what you do in your job?
Well, thanks, Matt. I'm kind of learning as I go, but in all seriousness, when you look at the prep, where it started, where it kind of transitioned, and where it's going, advancement is exactly that. So it's creating opportunities to enhance the learning environment for our students, to provide opportunities for them and also their families. And what we have now has been the work of those who've come before us. Think about it. There is no federal, there's no state funds for St. Augustine Prep. Everything has come from private philanthropic dollars. So whether it's tuition or gifts. And the reality is the cost of educating a student does not match what tuition is. So the investment is outstanding for parents, but there's still a gap that needs to be filled. The responsibility of advancement is to create ways to fill that gap. And people are so generous, and they believe in the mission of St. Augustine Prep. And the mission is really about the students. So when there's outcome in people as classy as guys like you and some of your Hermit brothers and the successes they have, advancement has the opportunity to celebrate that and invite others closer to the fire.
Mr. Foreman, I understand you have a lot of responsibilities here, and your job works in many facets of the prep. What are some challenges that come with that, and then also rewards that come from those challenges?
You know, you're right, it does have a lot of facets, but if I was to say what a challenge is meeting the needs of all of our constituents. With 700 students and with 22 varsity sports and with unique academic programs and unbelievably talented students in areas like the performing arts and the robotics club and engineering, you'll want to be able to provide them with everything they need to have the utmost success. And unfortunately, it's not always feasible and not always possible. Being a coach in athletics and being very competitive, I want it to all happen like that. Like I want the plan to be ready to go tomorrow. That's probably the biggest challenge, not being able to meet the needs of all in the short period of time that you want to meet them. The other challenge is kind of really educating what advancement is, and that every gift matters. I was talking to an alum yesterday at the basketball game, and he's doing really well in New York. He graduated in the mid-'90s, and he's like, I'm almost there. I'm going to be able to give a big gift to the prep. Well, annual giving is so important to the school because that's what sustains the school. And major gifts change the school, and annual giving sustains it. Now, we talk about rewards, and One of the things, if I was going to call it a challenge, that I missed dramatically is interacting with the students on a day-to-day basis and with their families. So whether it's seeing their highs and their lows in athletics and celebrating with them, I missed that. The reward, however, is getting to meet people who believe so much in what our colleagues are doing and what the students are doing here at the school, and they want to make sure that it doesn't go away. That's an unbelievably humbling feeling. I'm an alum, I was a teacher, coach, been in administration. My oldest son graduated last year. I have a son who's a senior of the class of 2016 and an incoming freshman. So to see that genuine love of the prep from others who didn't even have it, that is unbelievably rewarding. And to know that perhaps advancement has something to do with how the future of the prep's going to be, that is, I can't put into words how that feels.
Mr. Foreman, I'm sure with all your responsibilities here at the prep, you're getting a lot of help from other people in your department. Maybe you'd like to introduce us to them?
I would love to. Before I do that, though, I have to say advancement is the work of the entire school. So if the teachers aren't doing a good job and the students aren't getting a great education and the parents aren't feeling great about it, college guidance, athletics, campus ministry, it's all a major part, they're all connected. But specifically in advancement, I'm really lucky to have 3 people directly that work in this particular office. One is Mr. John Husher. He's a graduate of 1985. He's titled as a Senior Advancement Officer. He specifically works with our athletic advancement and our parents who work so diligently in making our athletic experience for our students as good as humanly possible. He put together a beautiful media guide that encapsulates all of our sports in 3 separate editions. So we're really looking for some really good things from him. And he has a son who is presently a sophomore at the prep. Another member of the team is Mrs. Kathy Morey. Mrs. Morey is charged with the responsibility of handling all of the data collection for people who make gifts, our mailing that goes out to our alumni, our alumni parents, our grandparents, and recording information so that we can be very, very transparent and keep things moving along in a very, very systematic approach as we move forward. And the third member, full-time member of the team, actually works in the campus store, Mr. Manny Bianco. And Manny's a graduate in 1999. He's done a tremendous job in the campus store. He also actually does our Herman's Alumni Twitter account. Absolutely loves the school. And the one thing that you cannot replace are people who have passion. So there's no mistake that we use that term quite a bit here. Those folks are true believers and have passion for the school and want to do what's best for St. Augustine Prep.